So, earlier today I saw Morbius, the oft-delayed, third installment in Sony's Universe of Spider-Man, and I gotta say, it's not the disaster I was worried it would be, but it's also not the best I've ever seen either. But then again, I don't regret watching it. Not sure I'd recommend it. Sure enough, it's been a kind of weird couple of years this past release anyway. I wasn't sure what to expect from this, and now that I have seen it, I don't know what I'm going to expect from future installments in this franchise. Going to have to start working on ones based on Craven the Hunter and Madam Web. But be that as it may, might as well get to it. So, the film centers around a Michael Morbius, played by Jared Leto, who suffers from a rare blood disease, also afflicts his associate Lucian, and and played by Matt Smith of Hit, as in the 11th Doctor, and so it's not even the first time that Smith's played someone who seemingly does not age for his experience. He definitely does so by dosing himself with experimental DNA, which turns him into a vampire. And I gotta say, this is a very strange film that I just watched. I'm unfamiliar with the director. I at least know who Ruben Fleischer and Andy Serkis were before I saw the Venom films, and this may not be as bad as some other people might be saying, but it's also oh definitely not the best one either. How should I put this? And the ones where Sony's running the show more than Marvel, I put this as a bit above the Amazing Spider-Man 2, but below the Venom duology. Which is admittedly a weird metric to have, but it's kind of like reminds me of a lot of those cop movies you saw in like the 90s, 2000s. Like very much like a script you find in like a pre-MCU, pre-Dark Knight trilogy era. Where I try and experiment with what works and what doesn't. Yeah. Even factoring in the cameo from the Vulture, not really clearing up whether or not this is part of the main universe or not. Let alone how No Way Home potentially affected this one. I'm not certain in like how it since like doesn't it actually raises more questions than answers at this point where I know part of the deal between them and the mouse means they're going to be getting at least one more standalone movie as well as like crossing over with Venom. So I guess we'll find out soon enough. What that might entail. Hell, since and it's definitely kind of I don't know if more funny than I expected. Like not intentionally, like someone like Deadpool or the Suicide Squad, but I actually I was stifling my laughter throughout the entire running time, even though I know this is not a comedy, at least not an intentional one. Where there's a lot of other people going to go see Little City, which is intentional comedy, but yeah, there are like that part in the first Venom where Eddie he takes a bath in a lobster tank at a restaurant. Well, there's a lot of scenes kind of like that in this movie where you have the kind of CGI rat looks kind of like it came out like a PS2 game used to have. Have we have a bunch of scenes that look like they were pulled from other movies, and we have Leto himself of guzzling bags of blood, uh, both regular and artificial, to stave off his feelings. And I could tell that I may have my issues with this movie, but he is at least committed to the part. That's something I have to admire about him. I know that's kind of I know that tends to be like a you remind by very Harry, but I fully understand why he keeps being in character. I mean, I can add a list of not only about DC Marvel roles, but also ones that are kind of experimental. And as for the whole main plot of specifically being a virologist who uses bats in his experiments, I totally understand why they kept delaying this for more reasons than one. Yeah. $75 million, so I don't think Sony's gonna be out too much. It's probably not gonna affect like the third Venom or anything else they're working on given how I've seen the tracking. I mean, especially with other coming attractions like Sonic 2 and other ones gonna be discussing in my riff here. I mean, if you don't want to see this one, I'm obviously not gonna hold it against you. Who I mean, there was only about 10 people in the theater when I was watching, but to mean, but I don't regret watching it. It's kind of weird feeling, so I give it a 2.5 stars out of 4. And well, might as well get to my riff on some coming attractions as well. Okay, so I think I'll go in order by release to keep things purely objective the best I can. Fantastic Beasts Secrets of Dumbledore, April 15th. I mean, so it's definitely gonna be interesting how this goes. I mean, I I mentioned before that the second trailer was a bit better than the first one, and I also am working on Crimes of Grindelwald, a review before then, which I meant to do when it came out in 2018 before things kept getting away. And with that in mind, and I am very much behind mods as Grindelwald, and given Ezra Miller's recent and altercation, I'm not sure it's going to affect him in future films as Credence, and as well as for the Flash, we'll see what happens. There's persistent talk that might bring over the one from the TV universe, Grant Gustin, in this step, but we'll see. Depending on how I feel, I might see it theatrically. I might wait for it to come on HBO Max. I guess I'll have to wait to see what people think first. I mean, but regardless of that, it does. Any future Wizarding World movies does hinge on this one being a hit, and given the current situation, they got an uphill battle on their hands. Yeah. Okay, and speaking of uphill battles, Top Gun Maverick, which is now currently slated for May 27th, Memorial Day weekend, and now it's given how many times it's been delayed, it's now surpassed No Time to Die as having spent the longest time on the shelf. Of mean, a large part of it due to Cruise's dissatisfaction with the release window for VOD and Paramount Plus. I mean, I could go either way about this point, like how I don't think the original one is a bad movie by any means. It's just that I don't really feel the same way about it as I do as other people do. I mean, I'm one of those ways that like the films compared to Iron Eagle more, kind of. I mean, to be honest, I mean, and with that in mind, I've seen a lot of the spoofs and the memes, as well as how much Archer has been taking it so I could honestly go either way. I mean, I'm more interested in the next whole Mission Impossible movies, to be honest, which keep getting pushed back. So I guess we'll find out soon enough how this turns out. I can say with confidence, however, that I'm looking forward to Jurassic World Dominion finally coming out on June 10th. I mean, the third and final installment in Jurassic World trilogy, and by the same proxy, the finale to almost 30 years of an entire franchise. I mean, and it's definitely looking to be pretty patched, like not just with the advanced CG they've made in the last few decades, but also Also, bringing back some of the practical effects work. I mean, even bringing back Phil Tippett. I mean, which is something that an approach that I can never appreciate in a post Fiero, post Star Wars sequel trilogy, and post Ghostbuster Afterlife climate. I mean, where it'll be interesting to see how like the feather dinosaurs finally factor into this, like how a lot of people are paying ontology, but one thing I do give them credit for is that helping shift perception away from like them being slow, dim-witted beasts to being clever, quick-footed, intelligent animals. I mean, and Blue having her own Blue is kind of curious. I mean, and on top of newer characters like future Mario and Garvia, Chris Pratt being back as Owen, and with Bryce Dallas Howard being back in her role, as well as I think that's also the same actress playing Red, and even Justice Smith is coming back. Even just take all the time you need here with other roles, Justice, man. And I have to say, in terms of Jeff Goldblum, Sam Neill, and Laura Dern coming back, they are definitely winning a 30-year challenge. I mean, as they are marked on their social media feeds. I mean, yeah, I can definitely say I'm excited for this. Okay. Last but definitely not least, Elvis on June 24th. This long in the making biopic of the musician Elvis Presley, covering his humble beginnings and in the 1950s to his final days. He's in his residency in Vegas. Yes, yes, and even though it's definitely got the trappings of a lot of musical biopics, I mean, it's definitely a got Baz Luhrmann's showmanship he's practiced from both his musical and non-musical films. I mean, even though I don't know how it's gonna perform, based on the conversation from Jurassic World I just mentioned was like Lightyear prequel, like having both like a dinosaur blockbuster and an animated Pixar prequel to contend with. I mean, I I think it might be interesting to at least keep an eye on. I mean, again, and I don't plan on seeing this one theatrically, but I would probably wouldn't mind if after it comes on HBO. I mean, where we have uh, this. I mean, since I'm not sure whether they'll even do Bohemian Rhapsody, even Rocketman level numbers, but I guess we'll find out soon enough because even though I am concerned about the how this XE I've heard about, as I keep mentioning, the journey to the future is a marathon, not a sprint. It's basically an unspoken truth I've been trying to instill into people. Anyway, that's all for now. I'll be back next week with my look at Sonic 2, most likely, and other stuff, so I'll see you all later. Take care, everyone.